one's friends. But when the mind of loving kindness has grown, enemies and relatives become mixed up and one sees them all as experiencing happiness. This is because the dhyanas or samadhis of loving kindness have grown and are becoming complete. It is the same for the minds of compassion, joy and equanimity. 4. Object and merit of equanimity. Question. In the course of the mind of compassion, one takes hold of the character of the unhappy man. In the course of the mind of joy, one takes hold of the character of the joyful man. What character does one take hold of in the course of the mind of equanimity? Answer. One takes hold of the character of the neither unhappy nor happy man. When this mind has increased gradually, the yogin sees the entire world as being neither unhappy nor happy. Question. The first three minds, loving kindness, compassion and joy, are certainly meritorious. But what benefit can there be in the mind of equanimity bearing on beings who are neither unhappy nor happy? Answer. The yogin thinks thus. When they lose their happiness, beings encounter suffering, and in the time of suffering, they are unhappy. Finding a state without either suffering or happiness would be safety for them. This is how the mind of equanimity presents a benefit. When the yogin practices the minds of loving kindness and joy, it may happen that a feeling of attachment arises in him. When he practices the mind of compassion, it may happen that a feeling of sadness arises in him. His mind is distracted by this attachment or this sadness. Then he enters into the mind of equanimity and drives away this attachment and this sadness. Since attachment and sadness are eliminated, there is a mind of equanimity. 5. Differences between loving kindness and joy. Question. We can ascertain the differences that exist between the mind of compassion and the mind of equanimity. But the differences are less evident between the other two. The mind of loving kindness wishes that all beings be happy and the mind of joy wishes that all beings be joyful. What difference is there between happiness and joy? Answer. Happiness is bodily happiness. Joy is mental happiness. We call happiness the happiness associated with the first 5 consciousnesses. We call joy the happiness associated with the mental consciousness. We call happiness the happiness that arises in regard to the first 5 external bases of consciousness. We call joy the happiness that arises in regard to the base made up of mental objects. First, the yogin formulates vows of happiness that beings find this happiness and that, after this happiness, they find joy. Thus, when someone has pity on a needy person, first he gives him a precious thing. That is happiness. Next, he invites the poor person to trade it for money so that he can enjoy the 5 objects of enjoyment. That is joy. Furthermore, we call happiness the happiness of the desire realm which one is wishing for beings. We call joy the happiness of the form realm which one is wishing for beings. Furthermore, we call happiness the happiness associated with the 5 consciousnesses in the desire realm. The happiness associated with the 3 consciousnesses in the first dhyana. All the happiness in the third dhyana. We call joy the happiness associated with the mental consciousness in the desire realm in the first dhyana. All the happiness in the second dhyana. We call happiness coarse happiness. We call joy subtle happiness. Happiness refers to the time of the cause. Joy refers to the time of the fruit. When one is beginning to find happiness, that is called happiness. When the joyful mind arises within and the signs of happiness appear outwardly by way of singing, dancing and leaping about, that is called joy. Thus, when one starts to swallow a medicine, it is happiness, but when the medicine has penetrated the whole body, that is joy. Question. If that is so, why not combine these 2 minds into one single immeasurable? Why, on the contrary, distinguish 2 different things? Answer. At the start, the yogin's mind is not concentrated, and as he cannot love beings deeply, that gives him happiness only. But when he has concentrated his mind and loves beings deeply, that gives him joy. This is why he is first happy and only after that is he joyful. Question. If that is so, why does the sutra not mention loving kindness and joy one after the other but interposes compassion? Answer. When the mind of loving kindness is being practiced, one loves beings as one's son and one wishes to bring them happiness. But having emerged from the concentration of loving kindness, one sees beings undergoing all kinds of suffering. Then, producing a mind of deep love, one has compassion for beings and makes them obtain deep happiness. Just as parents who love their son at all times, nevertheless redouble their affection for him when he falls sick, so the bodhisattvas who have entered into minds of compassion, considering the sufferings of beings, develop a feeling of pity and grant them profound happiness. This is why the mind of compassion takes an intermediate place between the mind of loving kindness and the mind of joy. 6. Reasons for practicing equanimity. Question. If one loves beings so deeply, why practice the mind of equanimity in addition? Answer. The yogin sees things in the following way. He never abandons beings and he thinks only of abandoning the three minds of loving kindness, compassion and joy. Why? First of all, to put an end to other dharmas. Then, by the mind of loving kindness, he wished that beings be happy, but he did not succeed in making them happy. By the mind of compassion, he wished that beings could escape from suffering, but he did not succeed in making them free of suffering. When he practiced the mind of joy, he did not succeed in causing them to experience great joy either. All of that was mere mental activity without any real reality. And so, wishing to make beings find the real truth, the yogin makes the resolve to become Buddha. He practices the 6 perfections and perfects within himself the attributes of Buddha so that beings may find true happiness. This is why the yogin abandons the 3 minds of loving kindness, compassion and joy so as to enter into the mind of equanimity. Finally, the minds of loving kindness, compassion and joy are minds of love so deep that it is hard to abandon beings. On the other hand, if one enters into the mind of equanimity, it is easy to separate from them. 7. Limit to the salvific action of the immeasurables. Question. The bodhisattva, who has finally become Buddha after having practiced the 6 perfections, cannot do anything further so that beings may escape from suffering and find happiness. Then why do you limit yourself to saying that the 3 minds of loving kindness, compassion and joy are mental activity arising in the mind and without any real truth? Why not say that also of the mind of equanimity? Answer. It is true that the bodhisattva, having become Buddha, cannot do anything to make beings find happiness, but when he is still bodhisattva, he makes the great vows. As a result of these great vows, he gains great merit and, as the reward of this great merit, he is able to do great good for worldly people. When the Sravakas practice the 4 immeasurables, it is to tame themselves for their own welfare, and they think about beings in vain. The bodhisattvas, however, practice the mind of loving kindness so that beings may escape from suffering and find happiness. As a result of this mind of loving kindness, they themselves gain merit and teach others how to gain merit. Gathering the ripened fruits of their merit, these bodhisattvas sometimes become noble Chakravartin kings, rich in kind deeds. Sometimes also they leave home, practice the dhyanas, guide beings and teach them how to practice the dhyanas to be reborn in pure universes and there enjoy the happiness. Finally, when they become Buddha, they enter into nirvana without residue with immeasurable and incalculable beings. Compared to the